Welcome, Age of Vintage Society. Sophia Loren is a contradiction, an international seductress and a loving wife, a comedic talent and a dramatic award-winning actress, a girl who pulled herself up from poverty to embrace decadence. Either way, Loren's career proves she's more than just a pretty face. How Sophia Loren turned down Cary Grant's marriage proposal. Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Age of Vintage channel. How Cary Grant begged me to become his lover, and how she turned down Cary Grant's marriage proposal. But let's start at the beginning. Sophia Loren was born Sophia Villani Ciccolone on September the 20th, 1934 in Rome, Italy. Little Sophia's home life was nothing short of heartbreaking. Though her parents had a second daughter in 1938, their relationship was strained. Loren's father absolutely refused to marry her mother, and he mostly cut himself out from their lives. Loren was named Sophia after her paternal grandmother, but this name had little meaning after her father abandoned the family. Her other grandmother wanted nothing to do with the man or his hollow familial tributes, and she staunchly avoided calling Loren Sophia entirely, instead calling her by the nickname Layla. Loren's mother, Romilda Villani, was a classic beauty, but her life was filled with tragedy. As a young girl, she seemed full of promise, even winning a 1932 Greta Garbo look-alike contest. Her title came with an opportunity to work in Hollywood, yet Villani's mother refused to let her go. She became pregnant soon after, putting an end to her dreams of stardom. At what point did Sophia Loren decide her father was a useless human being? When you are 5, 6, 7, you follow what your mother tells you because you want to make peace. You want the normality, which we didn't have. My father would always come to see me when my mother sent him a telegram saying, "Sophia's very sick, come." It didn't matter why he came. What I always wanted, because all my friends had one, was a father. I wanted to be like them, to be normal. But this was not possible. So you see these things when you're 13, 14, when you're almost grown up. You see it for what it is. When Italian film star Sophia Loren arrived in America, she easily managed to impress two men, Frank Sinatra and Cary Grant. The trio appeared in 1957's action drama The Pride and the Passion, which would lead to a real-life affair off-screen between co-stars Loren and Grant. Frank Sinatra was very friendly. They became friends and treated her well on the set, and Cary Grant fell head over heels in love. But not so fitting was the fact that Grant, who was 30 years Loren's senior, was in the middle of his third marriage to actress Betty Drake, and Loren herself was on the cusp of marrying Italian director Carlo Ponti. For much of the time she was with Cary Grant, Loren was already planning to marry Italian film producer Carlo Ponti. After getting what she wanted from the star, Loren quickly left Grant in the cold. She turned down Cary Grant's marriage proposal. By the time she met Cary Grant in 1957, she and Carlo Ponti were definitely an item. They were together but couldn't marry because Ponti couldn't get a divorce. The laws in Italy at that time were extremely Catholic. Into this vulnerable moment came the gently seductive, impossibly charming Grant. Why on earth didn't she take Cary Grant? Their relationship quickly deepened to a romance, with Grant falling head over heels in love. She was at a point in her career where she was finally being offered Hollywood roles, but feared that if she married Grant, she might just become red carpet arm candy. Let's stop for a minute and think about it. Does she think this lack of a father is what attracted her to men who were older, that they were fulfilling a mentoring role? I can't wait to read your comments under the video. Cary belonged to another world in America, says Loren. I felt that I would never fit in there. I would never have a future there because of my nationality. Grant was devastated. He never stopped loving her. On the day Houseboat, her second film with Grant, wrapped, he sent her a giant bunch of yellow roses. She was leaving with Ponty on the plane and boasted about the yellow roses. Yes, it was not a nice thing to do. Maybe I wanted to test him, to test how he felt. I was young and thought if he got angry and jealous, it meant he loved me. In fact, Ponty was so angry and jealous he hit her. Yes, he did, very softly. Let's not exaggerate it, but that's what made me feel okay. That made me feel I'd made the right choice. I still don't understand that jealousy doesn't equate to love. Loren married Ponty in 1958, but even this brand new relationship had a dark side. Not only was Ponty 22 years her senior, he had already been married once before. As a matter of fact, he was still married. Ponty and his wife had been separated for years, and though he had obtained a divorce in Mexico, this divorce wasn't valid in Italy. Eventually all these bedroom trysts caught up to her in a cataclysmic way. In 1962, the Italian government actually issued a warrant to arrest both Loren and her husband Ponty. The warrant charged Ponty with bigamy and accused the actress of being a concubine. The couple had to have their marriage annulled to avoid the charges. What about all these other iconic men she worked with? Marlon Brando, Charlie Chaplin, Richard Burton. Was she ever daunted by that? I was friends with them, never nervous. Richard was having a very difficult time in his life. He was suffering a lot, and we took care of him. He would play with the children and have a wonderful time, but then Elizabeth Taylor would come and have lunch, and it would not be good. Elizabeth Taylor was worried about rumours of a romance between Sophia Loren and her husband, Richard Burton. When Taylor learned that Burton was a guest in Loren's Marino villa, she and Bazzacci, a photographer, set up a photo shoot to take photos she could sell to American publications for articles about their divorce. Loren was Taylor's enemy. It was a time when the two women reigned supreme, a league apart from every other actress. You hear a lot of rumours of affairs in the cinema world, and you never quite know who to believe. I don't claim to know the truth, but everyone was convinced that Richard and Sophia were having an affair. Everyone involved in the movie, the press, and above all, Elizabeth. Loren and Ponty continued to live defiantly as husband and wife, eventually renouncing their Italian citizenship and moving to France. The French government granted Ponty his divorce, finally allowing Loren and Ponty to legally marry. But her dreams of motherhood seemed destined for heartbreak. After suffering 2 miscarriages in the mid-1960s, Sophia feared she would never fulfill her dream of becoming a mother. When she became pregnant again in 1968, she confined herself to bed, giving birth to Carlo Ponty Jr. and son Eduardo a year later. Sophia and Ponty remained married until Ponty's death. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you are new here, and if you want to support my work, please visit my Patreon page. Now it is your turn. Sophia Loren is a very interesting character, as in Italy as in Hollywood, this is no doubt. But I'm curious about your personal opinion. Do you think Sophia made the right choice when she rejected Cary Grant and chose Ponty instead?